worked on VFX for Sherlock Holmes and Iron Man 2 and 4, Avengers of the Age of Ultron, Interstellar, Solo, Star Wars Story, books to name a few, but there are a lot more, aren't there?
Yeah, I think it's up to 30 movies perhaps.
30?
Yeah, you know, keeping in mind that I worked for 10 years back in Spain, so I managed to work in a few movies back there, but I didn't bother mentioning them because nobody will know them anyway.
Well, no one would know them?
No,
sure,
Spanish movies, maybe now, perhaps, I don't know, but 20 years ago.
So you worked in Spanish movies first,
Yeah.
and then?
Commercials first.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always the same. These small facilities, this is mid early 2000s, yeah, so it was mostly commercials, and then every now and then, like a slow budget movie. But the commercials, they were quite exciting. You know, fancy things. That was nice.
Sounds like you miss it. Yeah.
Well, it's always what drove me to it is the fact that you do something for your living, for work, and then potentially millions of people will see it later. So that was quite exciting.
Is it?
Yeah, I brought some images and everything.
Do you want to go through those, or shall I ask a couple of questions?
Maybe just go through the questions and then we can talk about
All right,
the
great. I mean, the question is, how did you start? What made you do this?
Well, you know, I used to play video games, probably too much. Yeah, I used to play a lot, and then when video consoles, so first was arcades, you know, the flat screens, you go left to right, that sort of thing, and then video games came along, PlayStation, and then video games started to have 3D environments, like Tomb Raider, you know, the video game Lara Croft. I remember playing that video game, exploring the maps, and it was really exciting, so I always thought, of course, I might like to do that for a living. And then I had a brother at the time, he was working in visual effects, doing commercials, and as I was saying earlier, he was working in these cool Nike commercials with the shoes, the trainers, and then we would see it at home, and he would be explaining me, you know, what he did for it, and it was just really exciting. Again, the fact that you can work on something, and then potentially thousands, no millions of people might see it later on in the TV.
Yeah.
That was exciting. So I thought,
So it's a family business.
well, no longer. By the time I started, he already left. He was like a true artist. He was retrained. By the time I was early 20s, he was doing that. And,
I'm being very distracted by these exciting pictures behind us. Should we stop them or should we watch them?
up to you. Happy to.
Well, do you want to talk us through what turns up?
I feel like I'll leave it in the middle of the screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the bridge from Thor. I think it's called the Dark World. It's the second Thor movie. I was on charge of the look development of the trees or the bridge. This is Interstellar, the rocket. I was doing look depth of the rocket itself. Look depth is short for look development, in which is essentially somebody is painting textures, and then somebody is in charge of how the textures interact with the shading. So to see how much dirt there is in a surface, how shiny the surface is. So I was in charge of that, and also I was in charge of the look development of the robots as well. Case and Tal, I believe they were called. And this is crocodiles. This is God and Kings. It's a Ridley Scott movie, in which again I was looking after the look development of the crocodiles. Again, to see how much blood, in this case, how much blood they had in the skin, how shiny they were, how much bump or displacement the texture, the surface will have. This is for Solo, a Star Wars story. I was doing lighting in these shots. This is integrating a fake model which has been done in 3D and integrating in this case with margins, with everything, and make it look like they're all sitting in the same space. And yeah, personal work that I do in the evenings. This is like fan art, really. Obviously, Star Wars based. Digital paintings. This is based in Plymouth. More like a concept painting like this is just trying to come up with a story through an image. This is so prior, actually. Yeah.
That's me. Do apologise.
That's okay. And that's again traditional painting, so more like gouache or oil paintings. I started painting a lot more during COVID because I lost my job. I was in between jobs actually, and obviously COVID started. Now everybody can work from home, but back in the day, that wasn't an option for me. So I stayed like maybe 8 months out of work, and then I used to paint before, but I never had the time because I had younger kids and working and all of that, and suddenly you lose the job, so you jump back to your hobbies, and then I started painting more and more, and then I started painting seascapes and I painted portraits. So this is Sherlock Holmes. We created the environment, the Tower Bridge as it was being built, and the surroundings as well. Inside of my tube, I was doing lighting for these shots that is integrating the characters into the play. John Carter. I was again in charge of the look development of some of the characters. We were a team of 6. Every one of us had a character to try to develop. I was in charge of Tars and Tal, this character here. Yeah. This is for Man of Steel, Superman movie.
Yep.
I was in charge of the look development of General Zod's armors. It was built on set, but also we needed a digital version of it because I don't know using that movie, but there's a lot of flying around and fighting, and so we needed to have a digital version of them. This sequence was really challenging. The project itself as well.
Oh, was this on a loop?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, you want to stop and do something about a particular frame, I don't know.
So what was your first break from commercials to film?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the break came when I came to England. That was 2009, January 17th. There was this company, still there is this company called Double Negative, which is based in London. Actually now they have offices all over the globe. But back in the day it was only one office in Soho, in London. And then I had a telephone interview. I was still in Madrid. Very, very strange having a telephone interview in a language that is not your own. It was very strange. I did rehearse a lot what I needed to say.
Yeah.
And when they were asking me questions, I wouldn't understand anything. So it was just madness. But because I was quite senior on my job, they liked what I said and they liked the job that I showed with them. So they hired me. So I just went there. So I had a telephone interview, and in 2 weeks later, I was in London. So that's the breakthrough came there because the main reason for me to leave Spain was I was chasing dreams in terms of work in bigger productions, like a Black Pursuit movie, like Avengers or things like that. Back in Spain, right now things have changed. You can work in very good, well-known shows back in Spain, but 20 years ago it wasn't an option. So you needed to emigrate, and I ended up in London.
For the work?
Yeah.
I guess this country has a reputation for special effects, doesn't it? Hollywood comes here.
It is, exactly. So, I don't know, I suppose early 2000s, so London started to push because they had very good facilities for visual effects, and then in Hollywood at the time they realized they had cheaper labor in Europe. And that was, in a way, it's a bit sad, but in a way that's what happened. So less work, so the filming was made in California or whatever, but the post-production or a chunk of it came to Europe because labor was, because it was just cheaper than doing it in California. And and then London was well ready. And then they suddenly, with I think it was with Harry Potter franchise, they worked in the first Harry Potter in London. Mainly it was made for a company called ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, in San Francisco. But then some companies based in London, they work for a little bit of sequences for the same movie, and then I suppose the producers realized that the cost of that amount of work that the London-based office did versus the work made in the USA, it was just much cheaper in England and the same standards. So by the time the second Harry Potter happened, most of the visual effects came to London. And with that, it was like a boom of visual effects. So suddenly, they were recruiting like crazy. And obviously, people like me, like from overseas, we had the experience, but didn't have the good shows. And in here, they had the good shows, but they didn't have enough people to cover the amount of work. So they had to escalate the sizes dramatically over months. I'm talking about company being 100 people solid to 500, 600 within months. So this madness, but in a positive way. It was quite interesting for me, mainly London because.
So was that your first film, Harry Potter?
No, I didn't work in any Harry Potters actually. I worked in Sherlock Holmes. That was my first movie in London in 2009.
Because that's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, what specifically did you work on with Sherlock Holmes?
If we come back to your images, if you want, we recreate a historic section of London, which is Tower Bridge, while it was being built, and the surroundings, so the first and second row of buildings, all the water on the ships, all of that is, I mean, in fact, all these shots are fully CG. The only thing that is not, that is real, is the characters and the things they are interacting with. So this, in this frame, for example,
for the finale,
this is 100% CGI. I was in charge, along with another artist, to model texture and look the whole of the bridge. So just two people doing all that job. The original set was this section here. So this was set, so that was properly shot with the lady running and the walkway, all of that. Everything else, it was done in CGI. It was an amazing show, to be fair. I'm sorry for the quality of the images, by the way, but hopefully you get the idea. So that was the first one.
So
I suppose that was the breakthrough, really.
Sherlock Holmes, you went from commercials to
commercials and movies in Spain, but again, we don't have the money in Spain. Or back in the day, to create, because that's it. You don't have enough. We got good artists, directors, everything. The talent is there, but we don't have the investors backing to have massive multi-million projects. So.
How much of the film did you know about, or did you only know about the shots you were?
Well, sometimes you only know what is in the facility. So I don't know now. Maybe because now we work more from home, so there are more restrictions about which other shows you can have a look. But back in the day, I was working in the office, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and you were able to see other shows that they were being made in the same company. So you wouldn't have the whole movie, but you have a large sequence or chunk, so you could,
you could look over somebody's shoulder and go, oh.
Well, that's good, that's good. But you could also, through your computer, just using these tools, you would go out and like a library, and you will be able to see, any other show. Obviously, this is like confidential. You would never be able to speak about things that are being made, because that's a massive breach in your contract, and you should be very careful. In fact, all the shows they change the name internally, so when you're talking about it, they are called something irrelevant to anybody from the street, nothing related to the movie. So you can be talking about, imagine you're in the queue talking about with a colleague, and having this problem with this show, which is called blah blah blah, and then you might give away something that is important.
Yeah.
But if you change the name and instead of saying Sherlock Holmes, it's called I don't know, whatever.
What was it called?
I can't remember.
Forgotten.
Yeah, I can't remember.
So you're talking in code all the time?
Well, no, it's just instead of mentioning the movie as a whatever, you just say watch it, and the other person knows that's the code name for the same, and then you can be talking about some technicalities,
Yes.
and nobody's, they don't know what you're talking about, so there's no problem. So it's a lot of confidentiality around big projects. Clients are very worried about leaks and things like that.
So if you effectively don't know anything about the film you're working on, what's it like when you first see it in the cinema?
Well, it's never the same. It's never the same because you work on it. So I suppose you lose that surprise effect. No, you went to the cinema to see something you've never seen. That sort of first impression, like, wow, this is not quite the same. But it's a lovely place to pay. If you work inside and you know what's going on, well, you have the spoilers. That's the negative side of working in movies. You know a little bit what's going to happen. You know who's the goodie or who's the baddie or who's going to die. It depends on what your company is working.
Yes.
Which sequences you work.
I mean, you know they're going to end up on the bridge.
Yeah.
Because
I know.
it has to turn up at some
The
point.
baddie's going to die because I model and look in the sequence when he falls and he hangs hanging from a chain. I was designing the crane. So they changed the cut, in fact. Originally, the sequence was supposed to be in a different way, and I was developing the crane, which is just sitting on top of the walkway there. I was designing it to be able to have the camera super close to it, so high resolution textures. A lot of hours designing how everything, the sealant in between the surface, everything was put in there, so it would look like as realistic as possible. And then after a month working on that, they tapped me in the shoulder, all the supervisors, and my first thought was that, I'm getting fired. I done something wrong. And they were really serious, like, oh, I'm really sorry. And then I was thinking, yeah, that was my, I know they explained me that the client decided to change the cut. And all that work that I did, it was just useless and never to be seen. It's part of the cinema, I suppose. So yeah, I knew how the guy would die because I was heavily involved.
In two different ways.
Yeah. Yes.
So what's the effect shot you're most proud of?
I suppose it would be something about Sherlock Holmes because it was my first show in England. A massive culture and change. You're going to one country to the next one in 2 weeks. I wasn't really ready for it. I was really willing to risk it all to come here, but I wasn't really. Nobody really is ready 100% to change a country to another just like that.
Yeah.
But then we end up working on something very nice and a small crew. And that's why I met my wife. Sitting there at the back, so I had to make sure that I'm not forgetting to mention that. So yeah, it has, I got fond memories from it. But it was definitely a struggle versus the joy of working in cool environment.
It just struck me as something very odd, because you moved to London and you spend most of your time in modern London looking at 1900s London.
Yeah.
Is that a culture shock coming out of the office and seeing it finished?
No, to be fair, sadly, some parts of London still look like old London. So I don't know. It was in fact ideal. I was in London working in a movie about London, so it was just great.
Oh,
may I ask a question?
Sure.
So, I'm sorry if I'm being stupid, but you start off. This is a digital painting that you.
No. This is a render of multiple assets being built in CGI in 3D.
Right.
So it's like you open this software, like Photoshop software, like you open something and then you have a 3D environment within that tool, and you can create I don't know, whatever is in your imagination. So this is normally start with concept art, so start with artists creating paintings, helping the directors find what they want to show, and then they share all of that with the artists like me, that we create that, and we use the concept paintings and other reference that we can find, historical reference in this case. And then we build things following the director's vision, but close to the reference that we got given. And so yeah, we create this 3D environment, and then we create a camera, which is doing something. In this case, it was matching the camera that it was used on shooting, to get the same movement, just the same. And then we just replace everything but the lady and the walkway, and because we got the 3D world, which is just like our world, but in a digital environment.
But do they then have to take something of this digital and make hard pieces of set for people to act in?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah.
Imagine when you build a set for like to be seen through a camera here, it is the same but through software. That's it. I mean, because well, it's not that easy. There are so many multiple pieces of software that you need to use to reach this state. So you need to track the camera, so the camera in the 3D space is matching exactly the same movement that the camera on set. You need to do the painting, you need to do the model of the bridge with everything that you can see in there. You need to texture everything that you see in there. This is like 3D software so far. And so forth. You got another software to do the simulations of the water, another software to do the composition, which is merging all the elements together. And everything that I'm mentioning requires a different professional. So normally it's like for any single frame that you see in the movies, as an average, maybe 10 people, they've been, directly involved on that shot, and with even more people like pipelines. So technicians that they don't work technicians that support the artists to provide the right tools, so we can combine our work together and put it into this image. So it's a lot of people really involved in visual effects. Well, in this particular show, we weren't that many actually. We were a group of 20 or 30, but during a long time, like 9 months. More commonly you have few hundreds per facility per show, because all these movies are always like, in most cases they share the workload in between different facilities, and this is because when you reach the point of you bid to get the job, when you got the job given to you, they give you a section, because the clients, what they want is get the job done as quick as possible. So, what they do is separating sequences, and few sequences go to this company, another sequence goes to that one, and so forth. So yeah, normally it's few hundreds per show, sometimes thousands.
Fascinating, thank you.
How long did that take you?
This one was 9 months.
So 20 people,
Yeah.
9 months to do just the bridge finale?
Yeah, we know well, this is just one shot, but the sequence, well, I don't know how many shots are in, maybe 20 shots, and it has multiple, when you play more of the pictures, you can see different angles, and so you need to, it was almost like 360.
Yes.
Yeah. So I remember all of this, so the characters, everything but them is full CG. I remember animating the ropes hanging side by side, and I did model and texture most of this along with other colleagues as well, not just me. But, so again, different angles. So the first row houses are CGI as well as long as the bridge. The water is CGI, the boats are CGI, and then after the first or second row of buildings, it will be matte painting. It will be like a static painting that is projected. Normally you use photographic reference for that. Yeah.
So, what's a typical day like when you're doing
There's a lot of talking and a lot of doing. So normally the time is a bit like flexible, because they let you sort of choose when you're coming in, because sometimes you cannot choose when you're leaving. Well, things are improving, but back in the day, when I was working in Sherlock Holmes, for example, I would get in the office by 9:30 the latest, and whenever we reached crunch time, sometimes I was staying in the office until 9, 10 p.m., you know, and without any extra hours being paid to you or anything like that. So yeah, sorry, can you repeat the question?
Well, it's just what typical
oh,
day was
yeah.
like, yeah.
So we had, so you submit something, you just go given a task. In this case, you know, model a piece of geometry or light it, and then you put together in a video and you send it for submission using internal tools. And then they call you in to a room called dailies, which is essentially like a small cinema. Lights are normally switched off. They use a projector like this, big screen. Everybody is sitting there, visual effects supervisors, production, to keep a track of what is being said, and the artists involved on the show. And then they give you feedback, and they, you know, they ask you to explain what you've been doing, and they tell you if they think it's right or not, or you know, essentially trying to help you to finish that task that you got given in a way that they are happy with. So it's a lot of supervision and support, and then that normally lasts like between half an hour, and then you just carry on with your task like that. Sometimes, however, if there is a change in the production, and I don't know, let's say the director wants to change something that it wasn't planned, then you have more meetings in between departments, trying to brainstorm how to tackle these new changes, how to make it more efficient. Normally all of that happens, but before the show is made. So there's a lot of interdepartmental meetings to make sure all the tools and everything is ready by the time the production starts, so it could be as less problematic as possible. But sometimes you can't predict what's going to happen. Sometimes there are changes in the middle of the production, so you need to adjust. And
do you have these things every day, these viewings of things?
Viewings every day, yeah. Sometimes twice a day.
So you're effectively being marked on your work twice a day?
Yeah. But it doesn't feel like, I mean, yeah, there is a level of, you know, you need to prove constantly that you're doing something that is worth. Yeah, it is like that. But there is a lot of support, and so far, the people I work with, they are quite, even the supervisors, they communicate in a way which is supportive. Instead of saying, I don't like what you've done. Instead of telling that to you, because they know I work for X amount of hours, and then you show it, and I say to them, what you done is wrong. It's going to break their confidence, and it's just not good management. So it's always like a positive. They always focus first on what they like, and they tell you, you done this part of the image is great, I love what you done in there. And then they go with their feedback. And you know, it's like you need to be flexible in a way. So you need to own what you're doing, but not to the point that it's going to hurt you when somebody tells you to change it, because you're going to change your work so many times. Because it's teamwork. You're doing your part, and you might think that you own it, but in reality it's like a big teamwork effort, and it's a lot of feedback constantly. And you just need to be flexible with that and accept it and go with it.
I saw a YouTube video a while back talking about why VFX has gotten worse recently. And that's because they're giving things out to the lowest bidder, and there's so much VFX needed now for films that people are not being given enough time to do things, so the quality's dropped. Is that your experience, or come on with that?
I mean, I think it's partly is that has been a boom with Netflix, Disney Plus. Suddenly we came from COVID, and Netflix was just pumping money to create more production, which was great. We were all very busy, but it reached a point in which it felt that the big companies like even Disney, or instead of thinking a good story and then support the story with just the right amount of visual effects, they just rely completely in have a like, visual wow constantly. You know, instead of just tell a good story, make a good movie, and then visual effects will support with invisible effects if it needs or not. But it feels like there is a lack of just make a good movie first. Just forget about visual effects. Make a good script, good idea, good acting, and then support that with also the way you shoot. You have to shoot in a way that supporting visual effects. So for me, the best director is Steven Spielberg, in the way that whenever he shoots something, if there's an explosion, he will never say, oh, in this section, we make these two people just jumping, and then we put the explosion in later on in visual effects. Instead of doing that, because that's a common thing now, so they don't do anything practical, and you need to go as a CGI artist, try to fix a problem that started in shooting because they didn't plan it properly. They plan it cheaply because shooting is very expensive. Visual effects is not as expensive. So yeah, this is a problem like that. They don't do the work properly. Well, it's not that, but you know, if there is an explosion, you always have to have an explosion concept. And then you make it much bigger in visual effects. And it's gonna look amazing because the explosion on set is gonna, the fire is gonna be on set, is gonna have effect in all the objects, all the characters. They're gonna have that boom of light coming in and traveling. And it's real, it's on set, it's not cheap on that. And you just make it bigger in visual effects. And that's when everything goes smoothly together, when there has been a lot of thought before the shooting. Just thought not just to support visual effects, instead of just the blue screen behind and let in post-production fix all of this. And you know, we can't really fix everything. It's just not possible. If it's not well planned, it's gonna be noticeable.
It's that expression, isn't it? We'll fix it in post.
It is a thing, yeah. It is a thing. And it hurts because as an industry, you know, as an artist, it hurts an industry because we end up having the bad reputation. If you don't produce something that looks amazing and seamless, we tend to think, oh, visual effects. You know, my kids, that are 10 and 13 now, they're watching the telly, a movie, and so they say, oh, visual effects are rubbish. And they're like, oh, what are you talking about? You know, that's not, you know, there is way more thought into what's going on just to blame the last people on the chain. They couldn't fix something. You know, maybe the client wanted something in a way, and you just need to do it in a way.
There've been a lot of VFX, haven't there, recently that are kind of embarrassing because they haven't had the time to do it. The obvious question I'm asking, which shot you're very proud of, which shot are you not proud of, but you don't have to answer that question.
Not proud of.
No, you
countless.
Countless. I mean, there must be times where you think, oh, if I only could have had another week on that.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's something that we need to deal with in a daily basis. It's the fact that you are creating something and you're trying to make it as good as possible, but you just have the time that you have. You know, sometimes you just have the schedule, you know, the money that the client has paid for a person to do a particular task is X amount, and it's maybe 5 days. And after 5 days, we all need to move on. And most of the time, it reaches a point which is okay. Sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's just okay.
I follow the Corridor Crew on YouTube, which is a little group of Americans who do YouTube podcasts, but they do visual effects with people. And they set one of their guys a challenge to do a particular special effects shot, car crashing. And let's see if I get this right. He was given 5 minutes to do it. Then he was given 5 hours to do it, another version, and then 5 days to do it. And they compared the 3. And the jump in quality from 5 minutes to 5 hours is extraordinary, and then from 5 hours to 5 days is also better.
Time is a big thing, but you know, we are paid and it's money, and I don't know. I think the best productions, when everything looks like seamless, is when directors, they have a respect for the visual effects in a way that they are shooting everything as they should, with much as you know, a lot of explosions or things falling, buildings breaking, or when we do set extensions, for example, it's very important to shoot, to build something practically. Like if we are here, just you and me talking, I don't know, and they want this wall to fall down, on set, please build everything. And then we extend it and break it if needed. But the interaction is here, is real, you know, the lights, the shadows, everything is real because it's real. But sometimes they just shoot you and me, an example, screen to be replaced with the visual effects. And then visual effects artists will put the shadows, will put everything. And it's just not that simple. It's just simple things like that. Do that on set, please. Yeah.
Oh yes, please, yes, absolutely. People want to ask questions, please just yell. I'll face this way a bit more. Fire away.
Yeah, first of all, I really like what you said, that sometimes in films they substitute a good plot with special effects, which is a shame. The other thing which really, which I found interesting in your pictures was, you know, your personal art, because CGI, I think, is kind of, how creative do you have to be? How much is it art? Because, you know, in a way, I assumed it was, you know how to do, how to handle a computer.
Yeah.
What are your ideas?
Well, I mean, how creative is the job? It is
how much is it art?
Yeah. Well, it's a good question. I don't know. In fact, back in Spain, we never called ourselves visual effects artists. We were 3D operators. So we were like pulling us down, like, no, you are not an artist. We're just handling a software to do things. And when we came to England, England is in here where they, algo used to be called an artist and feel okay with it.
Yeah, because you had your...
But you have, yeah,
but
exactly.
you're using software, you're not doing any programming.
No, not in my
So
case.
you've had technicians to develop a better way of simulating
So,
water or whatever.
what I can assure you is visual effects companies are full of artists. Now, but if what we do is art,
I don't know.
I don't know neither, I'm not sure, but at heart we are. There is a big chunk of technicians that are really important, and a big chunk of artists which we are also really important. There is always a little bit of, you know, when in some of these shots with Iron Man, for example, the way it looked, just the way it looked, a little bit, it was because of me. Just, I'll say maybe 2%, or 5%, or 10%, it was because I handled another person, different background, different knowledge, he will handle it in a slightly different way, and maybe the image will look slightly different. Maybe not important for us, but, you know, especially the previous show when Iron Man is kicking the car, when I started in this show, this is a side of Iron Man, it wasn't looking right. They didn't know why it wasn't working. Visually, it wasn't working. And then they gave the task to me. And then after a few days, I came up with good renders, like looking good. And everybody was relieved because they were a bit scared that it wasn't working, there was something wrong with it or something. And so the way it looks, in a way, is because of me. So maybe there is a little on art in there because the sun is in a particular place, the shadow has a particular, I don't know, intensity, the secondary lights, there are in different spaces that another artist might have chosen slightly different positions, or it might have worked even better, I don't know. I'm just saying that sometimes, yes, sometimes there's a bit of art on it. When you have that sort of moment of freedom, which something is not working, and you give your personal push to it, and suddenly works, yeah, that's the bit of art. But maybe it's like 5% of your day by day, you know. Most of these shots, you were handling data, so handling the effects coming from different departments. Sometimes things are broken, you just need to fix, so you don't, when you are assigned as a lighter for these sequences, you spend, you know, in a day, for example, you spend 2 hours doing lighting, like putting the lights where you think they should be, and shooting things, and the rest is just fixing things that, so you can render at the end of the day, because it's a lot of data flowing, coming constantly until the shot is approved. Effects, you know, this guy was using a whip, the body there behind. So all of that was on development while we were doing lighting. So you had updates coming almost daily, and you need, every time there is an update, that data has to be processed in a way that it can be open in the software that I'm using, and sometimes that wasn't working, and you need to try to troubleshoot. But yeah, sorry, short answer. There is a little part.
The long answer was very interesting.
Well, Alan always said that it was wrong to call it CGI. You should call it AGI, which is artist-generated image, because you need an artist in order to work the software properly to get the effects you want.
It is fairly, in fact, in John Carter of Mars, you know, the guy with the green screen, one of the texture artists, he was a painting himself. He was the younger painter who has painted the Queen in England. He's an English artist. Sadly, I can't remember his name. It was Christopher Pearl, actually. Yeah. So he painted the textures from one of the characters, not that one, but another character. And he himself was an artist. He stopped being an artist, you know, painting oil paintings. He stopped for a while to enroll as a texture painter in this company. We worked together for a while, and then he quit and came back to his art. And he used to say that it feels that the visual effects houses, they were, sadly, full of artists at heart, you know. Many of us are decent painters or photographers or, I don't know, you name it. And we get into visual effects to channel that sort of art side that we've got.
This conversation has reminded me that I've done some VFX. A long time ago, sort for an amateur drama league, I had to do a space hopper re-entering the atmosphere. So it was burning.
Fine.
It was terrible. But I enjoyed it. So.
I'm sure you enjoyed it. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Any other questions? What are you working on at the moment?
It's called The Sandman. It's a second season for Netflix. It's based on a comic that I know nothing about, so please don't ask me questions.
Did you work on the first season?
No,
Okay.
I've seen it.
All right, good.
But people ask me about what's going on. I can't even remember anything. In this case, I don't really know much about what's going on. I'm doing my type of work has changed. So in this case, it was more like CG based, like always handling something from the 3D side of production, so handling the textures of the look of lighting. But now I do more set extensions. You just paint an extension with Photoshop and then project it with a different software, so it moves because it's in the right place in 3D space, so it feels like it's in the same space as the shooting. So that's why I'm doing set extensions. So they film some people, and it will have a blue screen eventually, but hopefully they show them with some interaction, so they're in the ground, there's some ruins behind or whatever, and then we just need to enhance that so it looks whatever the director wanted to look.
I don't know if you know this, but what percentage of the budget of a big film is for paying for the digital artists?
I mean,
is it a lot or a very little bit?
No, for the facilities it will be a lot. It will be sort of fair, but there is a lot of underbidding in between companies because the profit margins in visual effects, unfortunately, are very low. They're below 5%, so that's nothing. It's very common. It's very common for companies. They hire 100 artists. We go through a project. We finish a project, and if they have a project right after, they will keep us on. If they have a gap of a month, they will fire 50%, 80%, sometimes all of them. Even for a month or two, doesn't matter, because they can't afford people. So yeah, it's a lot of money, but to the visual effects companies, but because what they're asking for is a lot, but it doesn't mean it's it's a lot of money for the companies or I mean, as an artist, we are fairly well paid. So it's a good industry. If you are after money, it's a good industry to get into, compared with, you know, some others.
Are some directors more generous than others?
Sorry?
Are some directors more generous
Yeah.
with the money they give to the digital?
Well, it won't be the directors, it's the producers.
As a producer?
Well, they're always, I don't know, I would say they're always tight. It's up to the visual effects company saying, you know, you pay me the right amount of money or I don't do it. That's normally, I suppose. Well, back in Spain for 4 years, I had my own company, a visual effects company. We were just three artists really, very small, doing commercials. And sometimes it was just, you will do it only if you think the price is fair. It's very common for a client saying, oh, I want all of this. Have you seen Star Wars, the movie? Yeah, I want that. Okay, what is your budget? Okay, what do you want me to do? There's a lot of that. So it's always you need to manage their expectations with the amount of money they have and the time.
It's gone on an amazing amount, hasn't it? I mean, early VFX fans are now doing recreations of that with modern software.
Yeah. Well,
in an afternoon sort of thing.
Yeah, AI is been a big, big. Yeah. But I think that's a bubble. Yeah. Hopefully in a few years we might get back to normal. I don't think I've seen videos by AI, just the whole thing being by generative, and it's not. It looks amazing, but it lacks heart and soul. And I think because it only copies what it has been done before. Hopefully, I mean, it's great as a tool. If we artists still use that, fine. If they want to replace artists,
and I've experimented with it to do book covers, and it's really something amazing, really amazing, but it's not quite what you want. And trying to change it to what you do want
you still
is
need
next
to
to
be
impossible.
and that's good because otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only people will argue that it's only early days for AI. It might get better and better. We can assure it will, but really, we want AI to take all that fun, for us. But not to take all the money we will lose.
You're a VFX artist, but you also go out and do your own paintings. So there's something within your soul that you need to express, is there not?
Yeah.
So even if AI could do that painting better, it's not expressing what you need to express.
Yeah.
So it's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the reason why we do art is because we feel we want to express ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, art or painting a painting, whether it's art or not, I don't know. But you want to do something. It's your interpretation. It's your legacy. Yeah, that's never going to stop. But sometimes I had this idea to make a digital painting recently, and I discovered myself thinking like, hold on, I just want to do something, and maybe AI is going to do. It's already doing a better job than me, I need to fight that idea that AI is because it even take you the initiative and the will to express yourself. That's just terrible.
Yeah. That's a very depressing note to end on. Someone ask a nice question. The last question.
I have a slightly depressing question.
Oh.
Sorry. So somebody else needs to ask a question. So you said that a lot of the Hollywood work came to Europe because it was cheaper.
Yeah.
Is it now?
Of course. It didn't stop in here.
Yes.
It went to India and other places. Yeah. It's because it's a tax war. So what happened is, like, I don't know, you know a company called Weta VFX, based in New Zealand. They are heavily subsidized by the government. So this is, I don't know when Weta started, maybe 2000, I don't know. I'm pretty sure clients have tax relief bringing their job in there. Now every country that wants to have a name in visual effects, it has to offer tax breaks. In fact, England, London was slightly losing amount of work for the last few years, and it's because government wasn't offering much, or was offering something, but Canada well, it was overall Canada actually. They were just taking a lot of the work, and then a little bit of Brexit happened, and that what happened is clients weren't sure what was going on, so they started to sending work to the other side, so to Germany and Spain and France. But again, it's about tax. It's about tax relief for the clients, unfortunately. So it's always going to be movement.
Yeah, very basic question.
So one more question. How computer intensive is this industry? Because I was reading about Amazon having power stations built for its AI systems and so on.
Well, as far as I know, it's very intensive in terms of we need a lot of minerals and things from Earth to extract it so we can create the microchips which they go in the graphic cards, so we can render bigger and bigger things. And this is one of the very bad things of AI is the fact that they need expensive computing. So it's not really green. Yeah, it is quite extensive. And the reason why we've been able to see the evolution, this is not just AI, it's the work I've been involved with, like Avengers or things like that, when you see heavily sequences with a lot of CGI, destruction, explosions, all of that, the computing is quite intense. So yes, we need intense graphic cards and power to compute that on a time frame which is manageable to deliver movies. So yeah, it's not a green, eco-friendly type of work, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Is there anything, as a last question, that you really would like to do? Particular shot or special effects?
I guess that being something I'm proud is working for Industrial Light and Magic. So I work for Solo, Star Wars story, and that was I grew up as a kid watching movies being made by them. All of them. They were the only ones for a while doing great work. Jurassic Park or I don't know, you name it. So yeah, for me, working in this movie was a highlight as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.